In the 33rd year of the 20th century, amidst the Great Depression, when millions sought an escape from despair, when the world's economy lay in ruins, a book promising the keys to prosperity and self-realization encountered an unusual fate. Its editions were withdrawn from sale. It was forbidden, preventing millions of Americans from even touching its pages. This was The Master Key System by Charles Haanel, a text that seemingly offered only universal principles of success and self-development, yet was perceived as something significantly more powerful, perhaps even dangerous to established paradigms. This paradox, the prohibition of knowledge promising freedom, is in itself a profound lesson. For the true power of knowledge, as Haanel asserted, lies not in its possession, but in its application, not in what you know, but in what you do with that knowledge. And it is this fundamental understanding that became the cornerstone of his 15th lesson, a lesson we explore today. Charles Francis Haanel came into the world in St. Louis, Missouri, in the year 1866. His childhood and youth coincided with an era of America's rapid industrial growth, a time when anyone could forge their own destiny if possessed of sufficient determination and sagacity. Haanel was no armchair scholar or philosopher detached from reality. He was a practitioner, a man of action. Starting his career from naught, he built an impressive business empire, becoming one of the most successful entrepreneurs of his time. His flagship company, Continental Commercial Company, engaged in a wide spectrum of activities from real estate to mining, demonstrating his talent for organization and management. He was a living embodiment of the principles he later expounded in his works. By the year 1912, Haanel was already an accomplished millionaire, his name associated with success and influence. It was then that he resolved to systematize his knowledge and experience, offering the world a unique course. The Master Key System was originally published as a 24-week correspondence course, dispatched by mail. Each week, subscribers received a new lesson, which demanded not only study but also immediate application. Among his clientele were not merely ordinary citizens seeking avenues to improve their lives, but also prominent industrialists, financiers, and businessmen, who perceived in Haanel a mentor capable of unveiling the secrets of success. These individuals, accustomed to tangible results, trusted Haanel, for his methods had been validated by their own experience. They understood that his teaching was not merely a collection of abstract ideas, but an effective instrument for achieving material and spiritual well-being. It was this practical orientation, this demand for immediate action, that distinguished Haanel from many other thinkers of his epoch, and rendered his Master Key System so potent and influential. We have arrived at the 15th lesson of the Master Key System, a pivotal juncture where theory must yield to practice, and understanding to action. After 14 preceding lessons devoted to the fundamental principles of mental, spiritual, and physical harmony, Haanel leads us to a critical conclusion. All this profound knowledge shall remain but potential, if not applied. He posits that true sagacity, authentic understanding, manifests not in the ability to recall facts, but in the readiness and skill to employ them for the transformation of one's reality. Charles Haanel was categorical in his demand. He wrote, "Knowledge does not apply itself." This phrase, simple in form, bears within it the most profound meaning. It reminds us that information, however valuable it may be, is inert. It is akin to an uncut diamond. Its potential is vast, yet without facets it remains but a stone. Only when we actively engage with knowledge, only when we pass it through the prism of our own experience and purposeful actions does it acquire power. Haanel insisted that unused knowledge departs. It evaporates from our memory, loses its relevance, dissolves in the current of new information. We may peruse hundreds of books, attend dozens of seminars, but if we do not apply the lessons gleaned, they do not become a part of us. They do not transform our lives, do not shape our thinking, do not alter our habits. They remain but an external stratum, never penetrating the depths of our being. The pivotal idea of Haanel's 15th lesson is articulated by him in one potent sentence: use is the condition of ownership. This is not merely a metaphor, it is a law. You cannot truly possess knowledge until you employ it. Until you engage it in your daily life, it remains alien, external. It is knowledge you lease but do not purchase. True ownership implies integration. the transformation of an idea into action, a concept into a result. He continues, asserting that you have not comprehended what you have read until you have applied it. This radical assertion challenges the conventional notion of learning, wherein comprehension is often equated with memorization or the ability to recount information. Haanel, however, insists, true understanding manifests only in the capacity to apply knowledge to a specific problem, to a concrete situation, and to obtain a measurable result. It is precisely for this reason that Haanel demanded of his students to formulate a program of application to their specific problem, not to an abstract task, nor to a hypothetical situation, but to that singular, most pressing problem confronting you here and now. This demand for personalization and immediate action constitutes the essence of his method. He did not merely impart theory, he demanded its immediate implementation, transforming each reader into an active explorer and experimenter of their own life. Modern science, decades after the publication of the Master Key System, has only confirmed Haanel's sagacity. In the year 1946, the American educator Edgar developed his renowned Pyramid of Experience, or Cone of Experience, which graphically demonstrated how various learning methods influence information retention. His research revealed that after 2 weeks, we recall but 10% of what we have read. If we merely read, information remains upon the surface of consciousness, swiftly eroding from memory. When we hear and see, for instance, during a lecture or the viewing of a documentary film, the percentage of retention ascends to 50. This is already significantly superior, yet still far from the ideal. However, when we actively perform something, apply knowledge in practice, or even better, instruct others in it, the percentage of information retention attains an astonishing 90%. Dale's cone vividly illustrates that passive consumption of information, reading, listening, is least efficacious. True learning transpires through active engagement, through action. This is direct scientific corroboration of Haanel's principle, use is the condition of ownership. Another significant scientific corroboration is the Zeigarnik-Bluma phenomenon, discovered in the year 1927 by the Soviet psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik. In the course of her investigations, she ascertained that uncompleted actions are remembered nearly twice as well, 1 9/10 times, as completed ones. The brain, when confronted with an uncompleted task, continues to actively retain it within its working space, awaiting application or completion. This effect may be observed in quotidian life. Waiters recall orders that have not yet been paid, and students remember topics they have yet to master. The brain, in essence, awaits application. It generates an internal tension that can only be relieved through action. If you have perused something of import yet have not applied it, your brain will continue to remind you of it, creating a species of mental open loop. This is graphic testimony that our consciousness instinctively yearns for the practical realization of acquired knowledge. Further investigations in the fields of education and psychology have corroborated these findings. Carol Dweck, professor of psychology at Stanford University, renowned for her works on growth mindset, in a study of Columbia University schoolchildren in the year 2007, demonstrated that students who share knowledge with others retain 90% of it, whereas mere reading permits the retention of but 25% of information. This is potent evidence that the act of teaching, of explaining material to another, is one of the most efficacious methods of its consolidation. When you instruct another, you are compelled to structure information, to discover analogies, to answer queries, which deepens your own comprehension and solidifies knowledge at a neural level. This is not merely the transmission of information, it is its active processing and integration. Application, therefore, is not merely a desirable stage, but a critical phase of consolidating and transforming information into wisdom. These contemporary scientific discoveries merely underscore the age-old wisdom that permeates many ancient traditions. In the Talmud, one of the central texts of Judaism, it is stated, "Not study is the principal thing, but action." This profound assertion places the practical realization of precepts and principles above their theoretical study. Knowledge without action is deemed vacuous, devoid of true worth. A similar idea we discern in the teachings of the great Chinese sage Confucius, who lived more than 2.5 millennia ago. He taught, "To know and not to act is not to know." For Confucius, knowledge was not a passive accumulation of information. It was inseparable from ethical conduct and practical wisdom. The individual who knows what is right, yet does not act in accordance with that knowledge, does not in truth possess it. His knowledge remains superficial, unintegrated. The Roman Stoic Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, penned in the 65th year of our common era, articulated this idea in the celebrated phrase, "Non scholae, sed vitae disminus." Not for school, but for life we learn. This assertion became a credo for many generations, emphasizing that the true purpose of education is not the acquisition of a diploma or academic knowledge, but preparation for real life, for its challenges and opportunities. Knowledge ought to serve life, and not the converse. It ought to be an instrument for the amelioration of oneself and the world around, rather than an end in itself. In the traditions of Zen monks, practice is the cornerstone. Zen masters often decline to instruct those who are not prepared to immediately apply the teaching in practice. They comprehend that intellectual understanding without practical experience is but an illusion of knowledge. Meditation, koans, quotidian tasks, all are forms of active application that lead to enlightenment. The master does not merely transmit information. He cultivates conditions wherein the student may himself experience the truth. All these ancient parallels, from the Talmud to Zen, from Confucius to Seneca, converge at a single point with the teachings of Charles Haanel. They affirm that knowledge, not passed through the filter of action, remains a dead weight. It does not transform, does not develop, does not lead to true mastery. The practice of Haanel's 15th lesson is exceedingly simple, yet simultaneously radical in its demand. Following each lesson of the Master Key system, you are to perform a specific action within 24 hours. Not tomorrow, nor in a week, but today. Have you read of affirmation? Then repeat it 100 times today. Have you read of visualization? Then spend 15 minutes holding the desired image in your consciousness. Have you read of concentration? Then immediately commence exercises for its development. Without this, the entire book remains but literature, a collection of beautiful yet futile words. It does not become your personal instrument of transformation. Haanel was convinced that knowledge freely given is of no worth until it passes through action. This phrase may appear paradoxical in an era of information accessibility, yet it bears within it a profound truth. Knowledge acquired without effort, without personal investment in its application, is rarely valued. Only when we actively engage in the process, when we risk, experiment, err, and learn from our missteps, does knowledge truly become ours. It ceases to be an abstract concept and transforms into living experience, into a part of our inner wisdom. It is precisely this principle that formed the bedrock of success for such eminent personages as Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, and Oprah Winfrey. Napoleon Hill, whose book Think and Grow Rich became a Bible for millions of entrepreneurs, spent 20 years investigating the secrets of success of America's wealthiest and most influential individuals, including Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. He discovered that all of them not merely possessed knowledge, but systematically applied it, transforming thoughts into concrete actions, and dreams into tangible reality. Hill, inspired by Haanel, demonstrated that success is not an accident, but the outcome of the purposeful application of definite principles. Earl Nightingale, the legendary radio host and motivational speaker, whose recording The Strangest Secret transformed the lives of millions, likewise perpetually underscored the importance of action. He stated that we become what we think about most of the time, yet these thoughts must be fortified by action. His teaching was permeated with the idea that knowledge is but potential, which is realized only through consistent, purposeful steps. Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential women in the world, constructed her empire by consistently applying the principles of self-development and consciousness expansion. Her journey from a challenging childhood to media mogul and philanthropist is a narrative of how profound insights gleaned through reading and self-reflection were transmuted into concrete actions, into service to millions. She does not merely peruse books, she lives them, transforming their wisdom into practical lessons for herself and her audience. These exemplars demonstrate that the Master Key system by Haanel is not merely a collection of theories, but a guide to action. And the 15th lesson, devoted to the application of knowledge and sagacity, is its culmination. It exhorts us to transcend passive consumption of information and become active creators of our reality, employing knowledge as a potent instrument for the attainment of our most ambitious objectives. It is precisely this profound understanding that knowledge is not self-sufficient but demands active engagement and utilization that finds its corroboration in the most advanced scientific discoveries and the most ancient wisdoms of humanity. We observe how modern science, armed with the latest technologies, merely confirms what sages intuitively perceived and articulated millennia ago. True ownership of knowledge is born only in the crucible of action. Modern science, today's investigations in the fields of neurobiology, psychology, and even epigenetics furnish irrefutable evidence that our brain and our reality are shaped not so much by the volume of information absorbed, as by the manner of its application. We reside in an epoch wherein neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to alter its structure and functions in response to experience, has ceased to be a hypothesis and has become a fundamental principle. Dr. Norman Doidge, in his seminal work The Brain That Changes Itself, published in the year 2007, presented to the world astonishing accounts of how individuals, through purposeful mental and physical exercises, were able to rewire their brain circuits, restore lost functions, and even transform their personalities. He demonstrated that the brain is not a static machine, but a dynamic system, perpetually restructuring itself under the influence of our actions and thoughts. One of the most striking corroborations of this principle emerged from research conducted by Maguire and her colleagues in the year 2000. They investigated the brains of London taxi drivers, individuals who are required to commit to memory a highly intricate map of the city, encompassing thousands of streets, landmarks, and routes in order to obtain a license. This learning process, known as the knowledge, typically spans 3 to 4 years of intensive practice and memorization. Magnetic resonance imaging results evinced that in experienced taxi drivers, the posterior hippocampus, a region of the brain critically important for spatial memory and navigation, was significantly greater in volume than in a control group of ordinary individuals. Moreover, the longer a taxi driver had worked and actively utilized their navigational skills, the larger their hippocampus proved to be. This is not merely evidence of adaptation, it is direct proof that the brain physically alters and grows in response to the systematic and intensive application of specific knowledge. The taxi driver's brain does not merely store the map, it becomes that map through its perpetual utilization. Beyond neuroplasticity, science uncovers even deeper mechanisms linking our experience and actions to our very biology. Epigenetics, a relatively nascent field that investigates alterations in gene expression not correlated with changes in the DNA sequence itself. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a pioneer in this domain, convincingly demonstrates that our thoughts, beliefs, and, consequently, our actions can literally activate or deactivate certain genes. We are not captives of our genetic code, we are active participants in its orchestration. A startling experiment, conducted by Drs. Brian Diaz and Carrie Ressler in the year 2014, revealed how acquired fear can be transmitted hereditarily. Mice were subjected to the scent of cherry blossom, whilst simultaneously receiving a mild electric shock, which led to the formation of a persistent fear association with this scent. Astonishingly, the progeny of these mice, never having encountered the scent of cherry blossom or the shock, exhibited the identical fear response to the scent. And what is yet more remarkable, this reaction was detected even in the grandchildren. This investigation became one of the initial proofs that acquired experience and reactions thereto can be transmitted across several generations, bypassing direct genetic alteration. It underscores that not only do our individual actions shape our reality, but also that the depth and intensity of our experiences can literally rewrite the biological program for future generations. The nexus between mind, body, and action also manifests in the field of psychoneuroimmunology, the science investigating the interplay among mental processes, the nervous system, and the immune system. Dr. Candace Pert, in her groundbreaking work Molecules of Emotion, published in the year 1997, introduced the concept that emotions are not merely abstract sentiments, but physiological processes mediated by neuropeptides and their receptors, which are present on all cells of the body, including immune cells. This signifies that our thoughts and emotions arising in response to our experience and actions directly influence our physical state at a cellular level. Research conducted by Drs. Janice Glaser and Ronald Keikolt Glaser demonstrated how stress, experienced by medical students during examination periods, leads to the enfeeblement of their immune system. Examinations represent a period of intense mental exertion, yet also a period of active application of accumulated knowledge, fraught with a high degree of stress. Their works evince that psychological stress induced by mental exertion and pressure can suppress the activity of natural killer cells, augment cortisol production, and retard wound healing. This is direct testimony that our inner world, our reactions to external experience, and our actions or inaction exert a measurable physiological impact, and assuredly we cannot overlook the placebo phenomenon, which stands as one of the most compelling proofs of the potency of mind and belief. Dr. Henry K. Beecher, in his classic study of 1955, demonstrated that between 30 and 60% of patients experience significant symptom amelioration when administered an inert substance, if they believe it to be a genuine medicament. The placebo effect is not merely an imagined reaction, it comprises genuine physiological alterations, elicited by the power of conviction, expectation, and faith. The individual ingesting a placebo acts in accordance with their belief, and this action initiates internal mechanisms of healing. This stands as potent corroboration of Haanel's principle: your belief, your sagacity, your inner conviction fortified by action, even if that action be merely the ingestion of a tablet, can alter your physical reality. These scientific revelations, from neuroplasticity to epigenetics, from psychoneuroimmunology to the placebo effect, all point to one singular truth: our brain, our body, and even our genetic expression are not passive receptacles of information. They are actively shaped and reconfigured in response to our experience, our thoughts, and, most crucially, our actions. Unused knowledge indeed recedes, whilst that which is utilized becomes integrated into our very essence, reconfiguring us at cellular and neuronal levels. Ancient parallels. However, this profound truth concerning the necessity of applying knowledge is not the exclusive patrimony of modern science. Throughout millennia, sages and philosophers of diverse cultures and traditions have arrived at similar conclusions, emphasizing that true wisdom arises not from the accumulation of information, but from its embodiment in life. In the Hermetic tradition ascribed to the legendary Hermes Trismegistus, the divine teacher and founder of esoteric sciences, the principle of correspondence holds a central place. As above, so below; as within, so without. In the Poimandres, one of the pivotal texts of the Hermetic corpus, it is stated that man, having apprehended the divine mind, nous, must not merely contemplate it, but actively embody its principles in the material world. This is not passive contemplation, but active co-creation. The apprehension of divine laws holds no meaning if it does not lead to a change in consciousness and, consequently, to an alteration of actions in the terrestrial sphere. The true hermetist is one who not only comprehends but also acts in accordance with this comprehension, becoming a bridge between worlds. Buddha Shakyamuni, the founder of Buddhism, in the Dhammapada, one of the most ancient and revered parts of the Pali Canon, in its very first chapter, known as the Twin Verses, proclaims, "We are what we think. All that we are arises from our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world." However, this is not an exhortation to passive cogitation. The entirety of Buddha's Eightfold Path is a path of action. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Each of these elements demands active, conscious application. Buddha did not speak of mere knowledge of the Dharma. He spoke of its practice. He taught that even thousands of words, uttered without comprehension and application, shall yield no benefit, whereas a single word, deeply pondered and embodied in life, can alter all. In the Hindu tradition, especially in Yoga Vasistha, one of the most extensive and philosophically profound texts, depicting the dialogue between the sage Vasistha and Prince Rama, the concept of purushartha selfless effort or action, is repeatedly emphasized. Though the text deeply explores the nature of reality and the illusory quality of the world, it does not advocate for inaction. On the contrary, it posits that man must actively strive for liberation, utilizing his will and intellect. Vasistha teaches that even whilst recognizing the world as an illusion, it is imperative to act within it with wisdom and awareness, for it is through right action, karma, and selfless endeavor that man may transcend his limitations and attain the highest state of being. Knowledge without action is as a seed that was never sown. In the mystical tradition of Kabbalah, the most ancient esoteric system of Judaism, the idea that the divine, Ein Sof, the infinite, manifests through the 10 sephirot, or emanations, likewise implies man's active participation in this process. The purpose of human existence, according to Kabbalah, lies in tikkun olam, the rectification of the world. This is not merely a theoretical comprehension of the cosmos or structure, but an active, conscious endeavor aimed at restoring harmony and wholeness. Each mitzvah, commandment, is not simply a law, but a specific action that influences the higher worlds and contributes to the spiritual growth of both the individual and the entire cosmos. Without these actions, without active participation in the divine plan, knowledge remains but an abstraction. The Stoics, great philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome, such as Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, likewise prioritized practice over pure theory. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most influential teachers of Stoicism, affirmed that philosophy is not a collection of doctrines but a way of life. He stated, "Do not speak of your philosophy, but show it." For the Stoics, virtue is not merely knowledge of what is right, but the active application of that knowledge in every life situation. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, in his Meditations perpetually returned to the idea of daily practice, self-discipline, and the assumption of responsibility for one's actions. His writings are not a philosophical treatise but a personal diary, replete with admonitions on how to act in accordance with the principles of Stoicism, how to apply reason and virtue in quotidian life. Seneca, another eminent Stoic, in his Letters to Lucilius, penned in the 65th year of our common era, expressed this idea with utmost clarity. Non scholae, sed vitae dismimus. Not for school, but for life we learn. This aphorism, which became proverbial, underscores that the aim of education is not the accumulation of academic knowledge, but preparation for an efficacious and meaningful life, demanding the constant application of lessons learned. In Zen Buddhism, particularly in its early forms, brought to China by Bodhidharma in the 5th century, emphasis is placed upon direct experience and awakening, rather than upon the study of sutras. Zen monks traditionally instruct only those who are prepared to actively apply the teaching, who are ready for intensive meditative practice, zazen, and mindfulness in quotidian life. Knowledge acquired from books is considered merely a pointer, and not reality itself. True wisdom is attained through doing through direct experience, through active participation in the process of self-knowledge. Without a readiness for action, without a readiness for practice, the teaching remains but an empty sound. All these ancient traditions, separated by millennia and continents, unanimously corroborate the profound truth. Knowledge, divested of application, is akin to a barren tree. It may be comely, yet it shall bear no fruit. The true potency of knowledge is unveiled only when it passes through the crucible of action, when it becomes a part of our experience and shapes our reality. Stories of specific people, the principles expounded by Charles Haanel, and especially the 15th lesson on the application of knowledge, found their practical embodiment in the lives of many eminent personages whose achievements became beacons for millions. Their narratives do not merely illustrate theory, they evince how purposeful, consistent action, founded upon profound understanding, can transmute both individual destiny and the world around. Earl Nightingale, the legendary American radio host, motivational speaker, and author, became one of the first to extensively demonstrate the power of applied thinking. In the year 1956, he recorded an audio message entitled "The Strangest Secret." This recording, initially intended for a select circle of employees within his insurance company, became the first audio course in history to sell over 1 million copies, earning him a gold record. Wherein lay Nightingale's secret? He offered not fundamentally new, yet he articulated eternal truths in a simple, accessible form and, most crucially, insisted upon their application. Nightingale, profoundly inspired by the works of Haanel and Napoleon Hill, affirmed that we become what we think about most of the time, yet he did not cease at thought. He emphasized that these thoughts must be directed toward a specific objective, and fortified by action. He exhorted his listeners daily for a period of 30 days to commit their principal objective to writing and to labor upon it, envisioning it as already attained. This was not merely a mental exercise. It was an asterisk program of action asterisks. He demanded of individuals not merely to listen but to do asterisk, to set objectives, to visualize them, to act as if they were already achieved, and to not retreat. Nightingale himself lived by these tenets. His success as an orator and entrepreneur was a direct outcome of his capacity to take abstract ideas and transmute them into concrete, repeatable actions that yielded measurable results. He did not merely transmit information, he inspired action and it is this that rendered his teaching so potent and transformative. Napoleon Hill, whose name became synonymous with the philosophy of success, is perhaps the most luminous exemplar of an individual who dedicated his life to the application and systematization of knowledge. His legendary collaboration with Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate and one of the wealthiest men of his era, commenced in the year 1908. Carnegie entrusted the young Hill with an ambitious task to dedicate 20 years to investigating the lives of America's most successful individuals, to discern the universal principles of their achievements. This was not merely an assignment for information gathering, it was a project for the analysis of applied knowledge . Hill did not merely peruse books, he met, interviewed, observed such titans as Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, and many others. He systematized their habits, their thought processes, their strategies of action . His monumental work, Think and Grow Rich, published in the year 1937, became the culmination of these 20 years of applied research . Hill's book is not a compendium of theories but a manual for action . Each chapter, each principle, from burning desire to persistence, demands active application. Hill taught that thought in itself is impotent if it is not transmuted into a concrete plan and fortified by consistent actions. He elucidated how to transform an indefinite desire into a distinct objective, then into a plan, and subsequently into a continuous series of steps. His principles, such as the mastermind group or autosuggestion, are not merely concepts but instruments for active utilization . Hill did not merely recount how successful individuals think, he evinced how to act as a successful individual. His legacy is irrefutable proof that knowledge becomes power only when it is actively applied in real life. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, likewise stands as a vivid exemplar of how seemingly disparate knowledge and experience acquired through action can coalesce in the future, creating something entirely novel and revolutionary. In his celebrated address to the graduates of Stanford University in the year 2005, Jobs recounted the tale of how he, having abandoned college, resolved to attend calligraphy classes at Reed College. He perceived no practical utility in it at the time, yet he was simply captivated by the aesthetics of the fonts. He practiced calligraphy, studied various typefaces, immersed himself in the aesthetics of typography. 10 years hence, when he was designing the first Macintosh, it was precisely this seemingly unavailing knowledge and these skills that proved invaluable . He was able to apply the principles of high-quality typography which he had learned through action to the creation of the computer's user interface. You cannot connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backward, Jobs stated. This metaphor perfectly illustrates that every act of learning, every action, even if its purpose is obscure at the present moment, forms the foundation for future innovations and breakthroughs. Knowledge that passes through action is never lost. It becomes a part of our inner arsenal, poised for application at the most unforeseen juncture. Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential women in the world, media mogul and philanthropist, openly acknowledges the profound impact exerted upon her by books on self-development and spiritual growth, including the Master Key System by Charles Haanel. Her journey from a challenging childhood in penury to the establishment of a global media empire is a narrative of the constant application of principles she discovered in these volumes. Oprah did not merely peruse, she lived these teachings. She employed affirmations, visualization, principles of gratitude, and the law of attraction not as abstract ideas but as instruments for daily action .
her talk show, her magazine, her television channel, all became platforms for the dissemination and application of this knowledge. She did not merely speak of self-development, she demonstrated it. She shared her personal narratives of surmounting adversity, evincing how she applied these principles to alter her life. Oprah perpetually exhorted her audience not merely to hearken to her or peruse books, but to act to set objectives, to labor upon themselves, to forgive, to love, to exhibit compassion. Her success is direct testimony that profound insights gleaned from spiritual and philosophical teachings can be transmuted into tangible results when fortified by consistent, purposeful actions. She embodied the idea that knowledge is but potential, which is realized only through conscious and unceasing application. These narratives, from Earl Nightingale to Oprah Winfrey, serve as potent corroboration of Haanel's 15th lesson. They evince that the most profound truths become such only when they are not merely comprehended but applied. Without this active step, without a readiness to embody knowledge in action, even the greatest wisdom remains but literature, and potential, an unrealized possibility. For, as Haanel himself instructs us, use is the condition of ownership. Use is the condition of ownership. This principle, so clearly articulated by Charles Haanel at the dawn of the 20th century, is not merely a philosophical abstraction or a secret reserved for the elect. It is deeply rooted in the very fabric of our being, corroborated by the discoveries of modern science and manifesting in the achievements of the greatest minds of our epoch. Knowledge is not merely stored in the mind, it lives and evolves solely through its application, shaping not only our experience but our very physiology, our reality. Consider neuroplasticity, a phenomenon so compellingly described by Dr. Norman Doidge in his book The Brain That Changes Itself, 2007. Our brain is not a static structure, immutable after childhood. It perpetually reconfigures itself, forging new neural connections and fortifying existing ones in response to our experience, our thoughts, and most crucially, our actions. Every new thought, every repetition of a skill, every conscious endeavor to alter a habit literally reprograms our brain. This is direct biological corroboration of Haanel's lesson. That which you utilize grows stronger, that which you neglect atrophies. Your thoughts and actions are not merely ephemeral occurrences, they are the sculptors of your inner architecture. Furthermore, epigenetics, a field of inquiry popularized by Dr. Bruce Lipton, reveals that our beliefs and perceptions, formed through our focus and the application of mental models, can influence the expression of our genes. We are not merely passive carriers of a genetic code. Our thoughts and emotions, our conscious intention can activate or deactivate specific genes, influencing our health, capacities, and even longevity. This unveils an even deeper stratum upon which the application of our inner states shapes our physical reality.
In psychology, this principle permeates many fundamental concepts. Carl Jung, the eminent Swiss psychiatrist, spoke of individuation. The process of becoming a holistic personality. This is not passive contemplation, but an active journey of self-discovery, necessitating confrontation with the shadow aspects of the psyche, integration of the unconscious, and most crucially, action in accordance with newly acquired authenticity. Individuation is the continuous application of inner insights in external life. Abraham Maslow, a pioneer of humanistic psychology, described peak experiences moments of profoundest happiness, meaning, and self-actualization. These experiences seldom befall those who passively observe life. They arise when an individual is wholly absorbed in an activity, when their skills perfectly align with the challenge, when they are in a state of complete application of their capacities and talents. Daniel Kahneman, recipient of the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences, in his work Thinking Fast and Slow, 2011, delineated our thinking into two systems. System 1, rapid, intuitive, and System 2, deliberate, analytical. When we first apply a new knowledge or skill, we engage System 2, which demands conscious effort, yet with persistent repetition and application. these actions become automated, transitioning into the swift and efficient System 1. This is the path from conscious endeavor to unconscious competence, the path to mastery of which Haanel speaks. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the Hungarian-American psychologist, introduced the concept of flow, a state of complete immersion in an activity wherein time loses its significance and the individual experiences profound satisfaction and high productivity. The state of flow is attained not through passive consumption of information, but through the active application of one's skills, the perpetual surmounting of challenges and unceasing interaction with the world. This is the highest form of self-application. Even at the most fundamental strata of reality, in quantum physics, we discern intimations that the observation and interaction of consciousness may influence the manifestation of reality. Alain Aspect's experiments in the year 1982, which corroborated Bell's theorem on quantum entanglement, evinced a profound interconnectedness between seemingly disparate particles. This is assuredly not direct proof of the power of thought, yet it underscores that our conscious interaction with the world may be far more significant than we are accustomed to believe. This same principle underlies the eminent achievements in sport. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest figures in the annals of basketball, was not born with an impeccable shot or incredible game intuition. His legendary work ethic consisted in the unremitting application of training. In thousands upon thousands of repetitions, in the visualization of game scenarios, and in the perpetual refinement of every facet of his play, he did not merely know how to play, he did it, day after day, with unprecedented intensity. Kobe Bryant, his spiritual heir, embodied the so-called Mamba mentality, a philosophy of obsessive applicability and mastery. He scrutinized every opponent, perfected every shot, every feint, spending countless hours upon the training court. His comprehension of the game was inseparable from his relentless doing. For Kobe, inspiration was ever about work about applying oneself to the utmost. In the realm of commerce, this principle is equally manifest. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, erected his empire upon the philosophy of day one: perpetual innovation, experimentation, and, most crucially, action. Amazon did not merely contemplate e-commerce. It constructed it, iteratively, through countless applications of novel ideas, undeterred by errors, yet perpetually gleaning lessons therefrom for subsequent actions. His bias for action is the quintessence of Haanel's 15th lesson. Elon Musk, the visionary of Tesla and SpaceX, is renowned for his grandiose objectives, yet his true strength lies in the relentless realization of these aims. He does not merely conceptualize revolutionary ideas, he compels their application through colossal engineering endeavors and an unyielding will. His companies are monuments to applied vision, wherein theoretical principles are brought to their practical limits. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history, amassed his fortune not through speculation, but through a profound comprehension of the principles of value investing and their consistent disciplined application over decades. He does not pursue ephemeral trends. He steadfastly does that which he knows to be correct, demonstrating that long-term success emanates from the persistent application of proven truths. In all these instances, from the neuroplasticity of the brain to the triumphs of titans of sport and commerce, we observe a recurring theme. Knowledge, however profound it may be, remains inert until activated by application. The very act of doing transmutes abstract potential into tangible reality, solidifying understanding and paving the path to mastery. This is the essence of Haanel's 15th lesson. Insight without action is but a fleeting thought. Applied insight becomes an unshakable foundation for creation. However, like any potent force, the principle of knowledge application harbors its perils when distorted or employed without due comprehension and responsibility. The path to mastery can readily devolve into a path of self-deception, should we not exercise vigilance.
One of the principal pitfalls is naive positivism asterisk, or as it is sometimes termed, asterisk magical thinking asterisk. This is the conviction that it suffices merely to asterisk think asterisk positively, or to asterisk wish asterisk for something, and it shall spontaneously materialize, without concomitant asterisk actions asterisk. This is a grievous distortion of Haanel's message. Whoever emphasized the systematic, disciplined asterisk application asterisk of both mental and physical endeavors. The chasm separating the mere asterisk desire asterisk to be wealthy from the asterisk actions asterisk commensurate with the creation of wealth is a gulf that divides dream from reality. Another peril is asterisk denial of reality asterisk. Some individuals employ the principles of manifestation or positive thinking to entirely disregard or suppress legitimate problems, challenges, or negative emotions. This is not about surmounting obstacles through applied insight, but about feigning their non-existence. True application encompasses asterisk confrontation asterisk with reality, rather than flight therefrom, and subsequently the utilization of mental instruments for its navigation and transformation. There also exists the phenomenon of asterisk toxic spirituality asterisk, wherein self-help transmutes into a means of shame for those who experience negative emotions or encounter difficulties, implying that they merely did not think positively enough or applied the principles incorrectly. This engenders a sense of culpability and isolation, rather than empowerment. Authentic application, as Haanel proposes, acknowledges the full spectrum of human experience and employs mental instruments to achieve mastery asterisk over oneself asterisk and one's circumstances, rather than for their denial. Finally, there is the asterisk absence of sagacity asterisk. To apply principles blindly, without critical discernment or comprehension of their profound mechanisms, is equally perilous. For instance, to apply a business strategy without comprehending market dynamics, or a personal development technique without accounting for individual temperament. Haanel's system underscores asterisk insight asterisk, profound understanding, asterisk prior to asterisk application. Without this sagacity, action may prove erroneous or even deleterious. The power of application is a double-edged sword. It demands responsibility, sagacity, and a profound comprehension of the interplay among thought, emotion, and action. Without this, the pursuit of mastery may degenerate into superficial imitation, leading to disillusionment rather than to authentic transformation. Bearing this in mind, we proceed to the very heart of the 15th lesson, to practical application. Haanel's system is not an academic treatise. It is a guide to life, demanding daily engagement. The following practices are designed to integrate the principles of the Master Key system into your quotidian life, transforming abstract understanding into palpable experience. Remember, the objective is not merely to asterisk peruse asterisk these techniques, but to asterisk perform asterisk them consistently for the ensuing 30 days. Asterisk asterisk. Practice 1. The silence and meditation asterisk. Asterisk 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 asterisk. What to do? Daily, at the same hour, locate a tranquil place where none shall disturb you. Seat yourself comfortably, with a straight spine, yet without tension. Close your eyes, focus upon your respiration, sensing the air as it enters and departs your corporeal form. Permit thoughts to arrive and depart, without clinging to them, without judging them. Merely observe them as they drift past, akin to clouds in the firmament. The objective is to quiet the mind, to cultivate an inner space for intuition and profound comprehension, to emancipate oneself from the clamor of quotidian existence. Asterisk, 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 minutes per day. 10 to 15 minutes each morn. Immediately upon awakening, ere the world begins to demand your attention. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Day to perceive effect. Initial sensations of inner tranquility and lucidity may manifest within 3 to 5 days. Deeper insights, a sustained reduction in stress levels, and enhanced concentration within 2 to 3 weeks. By the close of the 30-day period, you shall discern a significant amelioration in emotional stability and the capacity for mindfulness. Asterisk asterisk. Practice 2. Visualization asterisk 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 asterisk. What to do?
Select one specific, clearly articulated objective or desired state that you wish to attain. Daily, in a state of profound relaxation, ideally subsequent to the silence. Vividly and meticulously envision this objective as already achieved. Imagine all 5 senses, what you perceive around you, the sounds you apprehend, what you discern by touch, perhaps even the taste or aroma associated with your triumph. Most crucially, feel the emotions that accompany the attainment of this objective: joy, satisfaction, gratitude, relief. Immerse yourself in this sensation. Render it maximally real. ******. Minutes per day, 10 minutes, once or twice each day. Repeat in the morn and in the eve. ******. Day to perceive effect. Facility in creating vivid and enduring images within a week. Initial congruences or opportunities that begin to align with your visualization may commence to manifest within 2 to 3 weeks. Sustained alterations in your external reality mirroring your internal images within a month and thereafter. Practice 3. Affirmations. What to do? Formulate 3 to 5 positive affirmations that reflect your objectives and desired attributes. Employ the present tense and eschew negations. For example, I possess boundless energy and clarity of mind. I effortlessly attract abundance into my life. I radiate confidence and draw success. Recite these affirmations aloud or silently to yourself. It is of utmost importance to utter them with feeling and profound conviction, as if they were already an undeniable truth. Commit them to writing also, for this amplifies the effect. Minutes per day. 5 to 10 minutes, 3 to 4 times each day, especially in the morn, immediately upon awakening, ere slumber, and in moments when you perceive a decline in spirit or harbor doubts. Day to perceive effect. An alteration in inner dialogue and disposition. Within a week, an increase in self-assurance and the emergence of new thoughts supporting your affirmations. Within 2 weeks, discernible alterations in your conduct, reactions to external events, and even in your self-perception. Within a month. Practice 4. Journaling and reflection. What to do? Daily. Allocate time to commit your thoughts, sentiments, insights, and also your progress in attaining your objectives, to writing. Respond to key inquiries. What have I discerned today concerning myself and the world? How have I applied the principles of the Master Key system in my life? What impediments have I encountered and how have I surmounted them? For what am I grateful today? Record your aspirations, ideas, plans. This process aids in solidifying comprehension, monitoring application, and more profoundly apprehending your inner world. Minutes per day. 15 to 20 minutes, preferably in the eve, ere a slumber, to ponder the day elapsed. Day to perceive effect. An augmentation of self-awareness, clarity of thought, and enhanced capacity for introspection. Within 5 to 7 days, the discernment of recurring patterns in your thinking and conduct, and a more profound self-comprehension. Within 2 to 3 weeks, a significant amelioration in problem-solving skills and emotional regulation. Within a month. Practice 5. Gratitude. What to do? Daily. In the morn or in the eve, commit to writing or articulate aloud 5 to 10 things for which you are genuinely grateful. These may encompass both significant occurrences and accomplishments, as well as the most simple of things: a cup of hot coffee, the sunlight beyond the pane, health, the opportunity to learn, a stranger's smile. The objective is not merely to enumerate, but to feel sincere gratitude, cultivating a state of abundance and positivity. Minutes per day. 5 to 10 minutes. Day to perceive effect. An instantaneous amelioration of mood, and a reduction in the level of negative emotions. A sustained augmentation of the general level of happiness, optimism, and life satisfaction within a week. An alteration in the perception of problems, the emergence of new opportunities, and an amelioration of relationships with others within 2 to 3 weeks. Asterisk, asterisk. Practice 6. Mental rehearsal, asterisk. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. What to do? Select an impending significant event, a business meeting, a public address, an examination, a challenging interview, or any other circumstance wherein you desire to comport yourself optimally. Meticulously envision the entire process from inception to conclusion, visualizing each step, your reactions, your utterances, the felicitous outcome. Experience the confidence, competence, and serenity. This is not merely the visualization of the ultimate objective, but a rehearsal of the process of its attainment, a refinement of details within your consciousness. Minutes per day, 10 to 15 minutes, prior to a significant event or daily for the refinement of a pivotal skill. Day to perceive effect. A substantial diminution of anxiety and an augmentation of confidence prior to the event instantaneously. A discernible amelioration of actual performance and results following the very first application in a real situation. A sustained increase in productivity and mastery in the chosen domain within 2 to 3 weeks of consistent practice. Practice 7. Focus shifting, What to do? Throughout the day, the moment you apprehend yourself indulging in a negative thought, anxiety, criticism, or fear, consciously and immediately redirect your focus to something positive, constructive, or to your principal objective. This may entail the repetition of an affirmation, a vivid image from your visualization, a thought of gratitude, or simply concentration upon the current task demanding your full attention. The aim is not to suppress negativity, but to divest it of its energy by rechanneling your precious attention. Minutes per day, continually as negative or unproductive thoughts arise. This practice does not necessitate a distinct allocated time, but constitutes a part of your mindfulness throughout the entire day. Day to perceive effect. The apprehension of negative thought patterns within a few days. An augmentation of the capacity for swift and efficacious focus shifting within a week. A significant diminution in the frequency and intensity of negative thoughts, and an increase in the overall level of positive thinking within 2 to 3 weeks. These practices are not mere exercises. They are active strides toward mastering one's own mind and shaping a desired reality. Recall Haanel's dictum: use is the condition of ownership. Through consistent and conscious application of these principles, you will not merely learn of them, you shall become them, transforming your inner world and consequently, the world around you. The 15th lesson of the Master Key System by Charles Haanel unveils before us a fundamental truth that reverberates through the ages. Understanding without application is but potential, which shall never be realized. True ownership is born of conscious action. This is not merely a lesson on how to obtain that which is desired. It is a lesson on how to become one who is capable of creating and mastering one's own life. We conclude our immersion into the 15th lesson, yet the path to mastery merely commences. As you shall apply these principles, your mind shall be purified, and your perception sharpened. In the ensuing episode, we shall explore the 16th lesson, wherein Haanel delves into the concept of intuition as the highest form of knowledge, which manifests only when the mind is liberated from clamor and prepared to receive messages from higher spheres of consciousness. This shall be a journey to the founts of authentic wisdom, accessible to all who are prepared to hearken and assuredly to apply. Envision an ancient master standing before an unhewn stone. He perceives within it not merely a mass but a hidden form, a masterpiece awaiting its liberation. His knowledge of sculpture, of the material, of form, is boundless. Yet only when he takes up hammer and chisel, only when his knowledge is embodied in every stroke, in every chip,
does the stone commence to reveal its true essence. The master does not merely know asterisk. He does asterisk. And in this act of creation, in this fusion of thought and action, something eternal is born. Thus too, you, taking up Haanel's instruments, commence to sculpt your own reality, stone by stone, action by action, transforming potential into authentic being.